All right. We are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here, obviously, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling, thing that we love so damn much. Just going to reflect on what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw review, we had our WWE NXT preview, then we had our NXT No Mercy PLE predictions. Then we talked about Uncle Howdy in his in-ring debut and analysis of overall where the Wyatt Six could possibly be going. Kind of looking for edgier content as soon as they make it to Netflix. I believe that 1,010%. And now we're going to talk about Tuesdays today in wrestling history. So before we jump on into any of that, a couple of notable birthdays we have today. Notable birthdays. Let's wish him happy birthday. Sergeant Slaughter, born in 1948. Obviously, you grew up during the 80s wrestling, and I think even the 70s, maybe. I don't want to make him that old. Maybe I'm just kidding. No, but he was great. He was great. He came on as like a heel. He was a babyface at times, and then like I thought overall, and now he trains WWE superstars. I'm not sure if he still does that actually. Don't quote me on that. But he's still part of the business. He's still kind of, I remember shoot couple of years ago, I think I saw him in a promo where he was trying to break up Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. I think it was. So I'm not too sure. But Sergeant Slaughter, happy birthday to him. Next, happy birthday to Jazz, 1973. She was, she was an amazing superstar. She was very, very dominant. She was a dominant women's champion. Definitely hard to dethrone her, but definitely part of that, early women's revolution kind of esque like Lita, Trish Stratus, and a lot of other notable names. And we also the Great Khali. Who remembers how badass the Great Khali was when he'd come out and just karate chop somebody, and his finishing move was like he just basically put his hand the size of a baseball glove, an outfielder's glove, and like over somebody. Like it was crazy. Like he was insanely dominant. It was crazy. He did have a couple of feuds. Notably, I remember with The Undertaker, I think which led to the Punjabi prison match. I'm not too sure. But I don't know. Overall, if you grew up during the ruthless aggression era, you gotta know who the Great Khali is. Gotta know this 7 foot. Oh my god, this guy was a monster. This guy was huge. And I remember every single time he'd fight somebody, and I'd be like, oh, great, it's all over. It's all over. Nobody could beat this guy. No, it was crazy. Overall, it was pretty crazy. The Great Khali, I remember watching him. He also, dabs on movies and stuff like that. He was on The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler. I remember he plays the fullback Turley, and he was actually kind of funny. He was actually pretty cool. I remember when I saw him, I was like, dude, is that the Great Khali? Is that the Great Khali, yo? So I don't know. Overall, happy birthday, Jazz. Happy birthday to the Great Khali. Happy birthday to Sergeant Slaughter. All right, a couple of notable wrestling, wrestlers who passed away on this day in 2010. We had Luna Vachon. Vachon, I remember her, growing up during the Attitude Era. She was, kind of this. I don't want to say punk rock. She was kind of like this rugged, like not your women's women, kind of I remember she feud with Jacqueline, I think Ivory as well. But I remember her as well. Bob Armstrong in 2020. Hell of a year. 2020 was, kind of a big blur to me, to be brutally honest. It's Bob Armstrong was definitely one of the best that wrestling did have. Obviously, tragically passed away. Definitely prayers, condolences to the families of obviously the departed. All right, so let's talk about our fifth segment. So let's go ahead and start. In 1999, SummerSlam was held in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Texas Tornado won his first Intercontinental Championship, pinning Mr. Perfect, which is kind of impressive because Mr. Perfect is Mr. Perfect. Uh, and then we saw the first match of the advertised two-part main event. We saw Hulk Hogan win via countout against Earthquake in a very decent match for both. The Ultimate Warrior then retained his WWF Championship against Ravishing Rick Rude in a cage match. And then, no, okay, that's it. Definitely one of the huge reasons why people fell in love with wrestling. I feel like like the late 1980s, the early 1990s really kind of left a benchmark, kind of, left a mark in terms of professional wrestling because that was when Vince McMahon was, starting to become Vince McMahon. That was when, WrestleMania was popping off and it was, it was crazy. But overall, with the superstars that you had, like, oh my God, I love the Ultimate Warrior. I respect him. I remember Typhoon and Earthquake. I used to play old school WWE games and, also the World Warriors, Animal and Hawk, Ravishing Rick Rude, also Mr. Perfect, and also Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, but when you think of the 80s in wrestling, you think of the Hulkster. 1010%. All right. So now moving on to 1995. Triple H, then known as Hunter Hearst Helmsley, made his in-ring pay-per-view debut at SummerSlam on this date, in which he pinned Bob Holly following a pedigree. On the same show, the man under the cane mask, Glenn Jacobs, also made his debut, um, albeit as a demonic dentist called Isaac Yankum, DDS. Oh my God, I remember that. I remember when I don't like remember that because I was only three. But I remember, watching stuff like that when I was like, dude, can you be a dentist? Also Mean Mark, you remember all the failed gimmicks and stuff like that. But I don't know. Overall, I think they did a really good job. Obviously Kane, obviously it's, the birth of, Triple H becoming you know, I don't want to say a mid card because obviously he had more potential than that in terms of becoming a heavyweight champion. But pinning somebody like Bob Holly. Bob Holly was he was an amazing superstar back in the early '90s. I even think he carried it on to the late 1990s. Whenever you had a match with Hardcore Holly, you knew that it was going to be, cutting edge. A couple of wrestlers actually, I've heard in an interview have had really reluctant on working with Bob because he wanted to sell the moves so bad. He wanted to make it seem like it, he wanted to make it as real as possible, and that's something that you got to respect. That's the grit. And Triple H was able to hang in the ring with him to pick up the victory after the pedigree that would become his main move and totally become like put a lot of people away. That move won him a bunch of championships. So definitely thought that was pretty cool. Another awesome thing that I loved so much is that the first ever TLC tables, ladders, and chairs match took place at SummerSlam this year, which, in 2000, triple threat match between Edge and Christian, defeating the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys to retain their tag team belts. This was huge for tag team wrestling. Not a lot of people. I feel like it kind of started this revolution of the tag team. You saw these guys go at it, and it was special. It was special. It was a moment. It was a moment in and itself. For Edge, for Christian, obviously for the Hardys, and for the Dudley Boys too. This was huge. This was great for them. A lot of positive publicity. A lot of people loved seeing the blood. You have Edge and Christian brought in the chairs, the concerto. That was kind of their weapon of choice. The Hardys, known as the ladders kind of guys, and of course the Dudley Boys, Devon, get the tables. Super impressive, super awesome. Created a like a tag team, you know, era. I want to say even like a Renaissance period. It made tag team wrestling awesome again. I mean, like of course I'm not throwing shade at the what it was before then, but I don't know. This was super cool. I remember watching this match and I was like, I don't know. I don't know. It was pretty awesome. Definitely in my childhood, a huge reason why I fell in love with WWE. Everybody in my family were into the Hardy Boys. Not really anybody from for Edge and Christian. I honestly loved the Dudley Boys because of the work they did inside of the ring. Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley. And I don't know. I thought overall that was pretty cool, and it would be honestly awesome to kind of have another tag team renaissance where you kind of have like this as well. They kind of hit it on it a little bit with the Usos going up against the New Day, but with the New Day, kind of getting older. Big E taking time to kind of make his way back, which he should because he got neck fusion surgery. You don't want to come back too soon from that. And the Usos, obviously Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso. I feel like right now, as them becoming tag team champions would kind of set Jay back. And I'm not trying to like sound like a jerk, but I want to see Jey Uso. He's main event Jey Uso now. I want to see him hold the WWE Championship. I'm sorry, maybe that's selfish of me, but tag team division on Raw and SmackDown, kind of a little, I feel like NXT has a way better tag team division, in my opinion. The tag team champions on Raw is JD McDonough and Finn Balor. On SmackDown, you have the Bloodline, which I feel like weren't ready yet. I kind of hated how they defeated an actual tag team, awesome people like, DIY, but I don't know. What do I know? I've just been a wrestling fan my whole life. What do I know? All right, and finally, EC3 is 1 year, the NWA heavyweight champion. So, got to, congratulations to EC3. I think the women's champion as well. I might be wrong on that, but the National Wrestling Association, kind of, they started all of wrestling. Obviously they used to have Ric Flair. I think they did, the Four Horsemen. I think. And then, eventually you had WWF, then you had Jim Crockett Promotions, then you WCW, then the ECW, then you had all these other wrestling promotions, and like a lot of the wrestlers kind of got scooped up. And now they're still around. They're live every Tuesday night on the CW app. Billy Corgan, the headman of the Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan and Carney Land or something. I think that's the name of the show, obviously cares a lot about what this professional wrestling industry is going to do. I feel like under, Billy, it could head toward a different direction. Um, Overall, they have great superstars, they do wrestle in front of a crowd of like maybe like 100 people, maybe like 500 tops. But, it has to start somewhere. It starts small. I remember when TNA was kind of like that. TNA has grown from NWA, but I would like to see the NWA make a partnership with NXT. That'd be pretty cool. I would love that. I think it'd be beneficial for both brands. I think it'd be a great way to kind of EC3 was great in NXT as well. And like I said, you have talent on the NWA, but obviously, like a hidden gem can't really, it's not broadcasted on, television. It's not like, it's not going to pop up for like ads and stuff like that. Like, oh, watch, the NWA. I think they also have a pay-per-view coming up as well. Maybe I'll double check on that. Maybe we'll preview that, as well. It's kind of maybe, get some positive publicity for both of us. Maybe the NWA should hire me. I'm just kidding. No, actually, no, that'd be cool. Well, I'm all for it. I love, love traveling. Super sick and super sick. All right, guys. So that's it for me today. That's all the podcasting I got to give you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network. Remember to follow us on Twitter/X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. And like I always say, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we got my boy Emran's podcast, GSMC Soccer Podcast, started in 14 minutes. We have my man Nelson's GSMC Basketball Podcast. We got 2 football podcasts. Football's right around the corner. The NFL is right around the corner. Why not stay up to date with all your news? Awesome. 2 awesome podcasters in the show are absolutely 1,010% free. Make sure you subscribe to that GSMC Sports Network. We got Manny with the Chip Shot Football Podcast and Kenneth with GSMC Football Podcast. We also have my man Chris Shepard. Fantasy football, super popular, super popular. If you want to find out all the know-how, who to draft for this weekend's draft, also your stardoms, your situms. If you're a money betting kind of person who find out, on the win, the over-unders and stuff like that, make sure you tune into Chris Shepard's GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast Live. He recently became live, and he's been killing it. Definitely, proud to see him absolutely kill it. Well, I tuned into his first show and it was sick. It's awesome. The conversations, the juices were flowing. You guys too could be part of that conversation, be part of be part of all the fun that we have here at the GSMC Sports Network. So make sure you tune into that as well. We got TJ with sports. We also have Jeremy with sports by GSMC. So just a whole bunch of awesome podcasters who are killing it. We are awesome. We are just we're dogs in terms of sports. Woo woo. I'm just kidding. No, just kidding. No, getting too excited there. I might be barking too loud. I'm just kidding. No. But anyways, definitely guys, stay beautiful. Have an amazing Tuesday night. Rest of your night. Have a great Wednesday, and I will see you guys tomorrow. But most importantly, love you.